I think the deal is definitely there to be done. I think 1 month still feels a little bit disappointing rather than the full third quarter. But it is all about, as you said, the compliance of Iraq and saying, look, you have to also join the party and contribute to these cuts. We shouldn't forget that there's 1.2 million barrels additional cuts in May and June coming from Saudi Arabia, UAE, and Kuwait right now, which is keeping the market tight, which will also return. But indeed, I think these cuts are going to be agreed, and it will help to keep the market tight into July. But then there's still going to be this huge uncertainty around how they then start to unwind things beyond July. So it's still, a lot of uncertainty down the back of the year as how this will unfold.
Does it look to you, Chris, that demand is coming back maybe faster than OPEC or others expected? You look at Apple mobility data, the TomTom index. We've been showing these to our viewers since March. Things people never heard of, now they look at every day. Demand and driving in the United States has come back a lot faster than people thought.
Yeah, that's absolutely it. We have 4 million barrels a day of oil demand growth per month for May, June, July, and August as we go through the summer months. Everybody is jumping in their cars. They're not jumping in public transport. They're not getting in planes. So it is just the gasoline part that is growing and rebounding in what is a V-shaped recovery, unlike more of an L shape for jet. So it's one sector, but indeed that will grow fast. But when we get to September,
and that Chris, hold on, let's dive into that. That's what you just said is bullish for gasoline, because you think about the fact that when you look at the mobility data, as we have and showed our viewers every week, if you're not on a subway or a bus in New York or Boston or Atlanta, wherever it is, or London, you're probably going to get in a car when you have to go back to work. Used car sales, we're hearing they're booming because people say, I don't want to be around others. I'm going to buy a car. I know the climate activists are going to say, oh my God, worst possible scenario. But the reality is people are going to want to commute alone and safely. You could see an environment where gasoline demand soars down the road.
Absolutely. I mean, the trend is indeed people buying those secondhand cars. They're going to social isolate. Distancing is going to continue. We're going to live in our bubble of cars. We're going to live in a world where we have all our stuff delivered and not go to shops. So you're going to have all those delivery vans also driving, which does stimulate a bit of the diesel demand as well around those deliveries. So we are going to see a long-term effect, and some of it in the short term is positive for oil demand, and that gasoline demand is soaring, as you say, over the coming months. The mobility data shows everybody getting those cars. People are going to want to visit family. They're not going to jump in a plane. They're going to take that road trip to go and visit family over the summer. So I think there is some response. Now, what I would caution, though, that demand growth that we're talking about is only balancing with what the supply cuts have done. And so when we look at the third quarter, we do still see the balance as being precarious. We have supply and demand roughly balanced together. So any creep of non-compliance from the OPEC producers could mean that we have too much oil. These higher oil prices we're seeing right now, just creeping above $40 as people get a little bit more bullish, is bringing more US shale back. Those producers who cut and committed to cuts are showing a little less compliance now. We see more oil coming on from the shale producers. They're getting excited. And that's the balance that OPEC need to make. How high do they allow oil prices to go without triggering a response from the shale producers to suddenly increase production? So that's the balance. Again, it's also a key factor that Saudi Arabia and Russia are thinking about when they think about how much production to cut and when to bring new production on.